Hey everyone! In this video we'll talk about how to take Dark Souls 2 from looking like this to this. You may not know much about modding a game, but we'll walk you through each step.
Before we go through the trouble of installing, I'll show you the features provided so you can decide for yourself whether it's worth it or not. I'll turn features on and off and try to show you the difference. AA stands for anti-aliasing. And even though it's provided by the game, this software provides some more control and higher quality anti-aliasing. Just leave it on. DOF is depth of field, and it's used for blurring objects that are far away. I like having a slight blur to far objects. SSAO is screen space ambient occlusion. Basically, it adjusts the amount of lighting areas of the game world should receive. For example, as you can see, the area between bricks on the counter gets darker, as it should be, since bricks limit the amount of light that gets in those gaps. Post-processing adds a bunch of effects to make the environment more realistic. Shadows get darker, while objects get more of a 3D pop. And last, bloom makes light sources glow, to provide an illusion of brightness. You can see my claymore's reflection and the lamp on top of the door get a glow. There are areas such as Iron Keep where this effect gets really intense, but you can by default hit number 7 on your numeric keypad to turn it off if it bothers you. And here's some of my favorite texture updates made possible by GeDoSaTo. First one is Fleshy Hollows. It adds a hollowing process to your character. Upon your first death, you don't become completely hollow. As you can see on my character, you look emaciated. However, after 4 more deaths, your character will be completely undead looking again. Second texture upgrade is HD Bloodstains. It provides a higher resolution bloodstain texture on the ground. Next is Tabby Shalquoir HD. It replaces the cat in Majula with a more realistic looking cat. And as a bonus, we'll also go over how to set up auto backup tool to backup your save games in case of save game corruption. Let's go over how to install these onto your game. First requirement is GeDoSaTo. We'll download it from blog metaclassofneil.com. Scroll down until you see the download link and click. Here I have Chrome complaining that it's not saved, but I'll just tell it that the link is trustworthy. Depending on software available on your system, the file may open with a different program. I'll select all the files in the archive by dragging around with the mouse, then I'll switch to Windows Explorer. I like saving games and related stuff on my D drive, so I'll create a folder under here. Double click on it to open, and drag all the files from this archive onto this folder. We can close these windows we don't need anymore. There's some settings we need to change on the configuration file, which is found under config directory. You can change scaling type to bicubic if you'll use the downsampling feature and have a pretty beefy graphics card. I get noticeable frame rate drop, so I don't use it myself. We'll enable depth of field by changing enable DOF from false to true. I like having a far depth of field, so I'll change DOF base radius to 0.9 or even lower. And finally, we'll enable texture overrides by changing this false value to true. The other defaults are just fine, but feel free to experiment with the allowed values that are documented here and see if you like a different value. We'll close this file for now. It will ask whether we want to save it. Say yes, and we are done with the first part. Now for the texture upgrades. We'll go back up one folder, double click on the textures folder, and create a folder named Dark Souls 2. We'll open this folder and create another folder under it named Overrides. This is where all the textures will be stored. First, I'll download Fleshy Hollows manually from this page. Again, links for these mods can be found in the description. We'll open this override folder in the zip file and extract everything inside to the override folder we just created. We'll repeat the same process for the other add-ons. All files under override folder of the archives need to be copied to our override folder. Some of these mods may require you to register with the website before you can download. You can register for free and there's no cost associated with any of these mods. These mods and much more can be found on this website. Dark Souls 2 mods are mainly more detailed textures. You can find better textures for your favorite weapon or armor set. And here is the bonus download, Autosave Game Backup Tool. It can be very valuable. It's not very uncommon to have a corrupted save game file or even a hard drive crash and lose all your progress. This tool will help you avoid such a disaster. Download it just like the other mods. You can extract it anywhere you like. I'll just copy it under this folder I created for my Dark Souls files. Before it can do its job, we need to enter where your save game files are located and where you want them to be backed up to in the settings file. To locate this folder, open Windows Explorer and on the address bar, type %appdata%. Double click on Dark Souls 2 folder and you'll see a folder with the name that's automatically generated. Open the folder by double clicking and click on an empty space in the address bar. You can copy the address by hitting Ctrl+C or right click on the address and select copy, and then paste onto the existing settings in this file by hitting Ctrl+V or right clicking and selecting paste. Remember to add a backslash to the end of the address. On the second line, you can enter where you like your save games to be backed up to. For maximum protection, you may want to back them up to another drive. I'll just set mine up to use the backup folder at the same location. Again, don't forget the backslash at the end, otherwise it won't work. We'll save the file by hitting Ctrl+S and then close it. Now we can run both the backup tool and GeDoSaTo and start our game. The first time you are running GeDoSaTo, make sure to run it as an administrator by right-clicking on the file and selecting Run as Administrator option. To make it easier to run them the next time, you can right-click on these files and select Pin to Start menu to have them accessible from the Start menu. Now we are ready to run Dark Souls 2. Enjoy the improved experience and have fun!
If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our channel and remember to check out our other videos. Thanks for watching!